guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are back inside again. It isn't cold outside today, but we are expecting a big wind and rainstorm, so I didn't want to get caught in that. It probably looks like it's raining behind me currently, but it's actually all of the snow melting off the roof because the temperature has warmed up so much. Welcome to the ever-changing weather of the East Coast. So today I wanted to discuss the 7 leave no trace principles. A lot of people think that this just pertains to long distance backpacking, but it actually pertains to anybody in the woods, no matter if you're just there day hiking, camping. There are 7 of them, and we will start with number 1, which is planning ahead for your adventure. So this could be preparing for the weather, so checking the weather, making sure that you have all of the gear or all of the proper clothing that you're going to need. Like if it's going to rain, do you have your rain jacket and your rain pants? Is the weather going to drop dramatically? Do you need extra layers? Another thing is permits. Do you need permits for where you're going? Do you have or do you know the directions to the trailhead where you're headed? Do you have bailout points? So in case something happens that you know where to get out. Make sure you have the proper first aid kit in case something does happen that it's not so minor that you have to get off trail, but you can fix yourself up enough so that you can continue on for the rest of your trip. So permits, some parks require permits. There's regulations, whether you can have fires or not. You need to check all of these things out. So that's basically the prep that you would need to do if you were planning on a camping trip, whether car camping or backpacking or day hike or whatever. You just need to make sure that you have everything that you would need. So number 2 is traveling and camping on durable surfaces. It's a simple rule. It's so that we don't disturb the ecosystem. So basically this is just telling you to stay on well-established trails and use the well-established campsites. You don't want to be walking on fragile vegetation that's, could take years and years and years to grow back, or maybe won't grow back at all if you step on it or put your tent on it. So we try to stay where there are established campsites. So this leave no trace is basically asking you not to create new trails and new campsites. Number 3 is dispose of your waste properly. So anything you pack in, you need to pack out. This includes your garbage, food scraps, wrappers, anything you've carried in. When you leave your campsite, the next morning, you should check, just do a double check. Not only you may have forgotten a piece of gear, but you should be checking to make sure that there's no garbage laying around. So just glance around and do a double check for that. And then this hits the body waste as well. So if you're not aware, so when you go to the washroom in the woods, if there's not a privy, then you need to go and dig a hole 6 to 8 inches deep, and you poop in that hole, and then you cover it back up, and that is the proper process for your body waste. Now, you also need to keep in mind that you have to be 200 feet away from any water source as well when doing this, and you should be 200 feet away from the water source as well when you are cleaning any dishes with any biodegradable soap or any hygiene products. So just keep that in mind that you should stay 200 feet away from your water source when doing any of those. Number 4 is leave what you find. It's a simple one. Don't damage the trees. Don't be building rock cairns. We're just trying to minimize the impact that we have out there to the ecosystem. Campfires. So if you need wood for your campfire, make sure that you're using the dead wood from the ground. You're not off breaking branches or cutting branches off of live trees. So number 5 is minimizing your campfire footprint basically. And I know it gets cool in the evenings and we all like to have that nostalgia of having a campfire to keep warm or maybe to cook our food on, or just something to sit and look at for the evening. But number one, so wherever you're going, you need to check to make sure first that you are allowed to have a campfire. And if you are allowed to have a campfire, you should keep it to the bare minimum. Like, it shouldn't be a huge fire. It just needs to be a little one, enough, to cook your food on. Another thing is, instead of cooking your food on the fire, bring, your small, lightweight stove, cook your food on that instead of having a fire. But if you are going to have a fire, I'm not saying that having a fire is wrong, but if you are going to have a fire, make sure that, there's already an established fire ring at the campsite, and just use that. And then for putting the fire out, you need to make sure that you've put it out well. So let it burn down to ash. Yes, so use your established rings, keep the fire small, use a cook stove if possible instead of the fire, and then make sure that you've put the fire out well. And number 6 is respect the wildlife. So observe from a distance, don't get close. It stresses the animals out. Don't feed the animals. I'll give you an example, especially on the AT, are the bears. If someone starts feeding the bears get accustomed to that food coming from humans. Then they visit those shelters where all the AT hikers are staying. And then the next thing you know, they are coming all the time, and then they're considered aggressive, and then they get reported. And then the rangers come, and most times they euthanize the bear. And that's all because we fed the bear. It's not because, the bear was got aggressive on its own, and it's our fault that they had to put that bear down. So that's just a quick example of why we shouldn't feed the animals, because they become pests after a while. So any animal can become a pest, obviously, if you're feeding them all the time. And then it's really up a different level when it comes to the more dangerous animals like bears. And then this respecting wildlife also pertains to pet owners. If you're hiking with your dog or in the woods with your dog, I'm using a dog as an example because that's one of the main ones, but it needs to be on a leash. It needs to be controlled at all times. So if there is wildlife that steps out, that there isn't an interaction between your pet and the wildlife. And then there's number 7, and that's being considerate of others. So excessive noise is one of the first things that comes to mind. There's people that play their music out loud on the trail. You need to use earphones. Not everybody likes your style of music. Some people are out there to listen to nature and not music. So that would be my number 1 that comes to mind. So number 2 also would be noise, as in when we're at camp at night. If you're not aware, most hikers, they're in bed and asleep by 9 o'clock, or like to be. But if there's somebody that's rowdy at the camp and, at the campsite, then it's hard for them to sleep. They've had a rough day hiking, and they're probably got an early morning to get up and go. So you just need to be respectful of others. If it's a quiet campsite, then you need to be quiet. The next thing would be, again, pet owners, and that's picking up their dog poop. Like, you need to just pick it up and take it with you. And then the other part of this would be yielding to hikers. I've read that the hikers going up the hill have the right of way. I can get that. They say that they have momentum as they're hiking up the hill, and you don't want to disturb that. So you wait at the top of the hill for them to make it. But at the same time, I've been at the bottom of the hill coming up, and I'm grateful for the break. So I allow them to come down. But it's just being courteous. I mean, you'll know when you meet someone, like, who's gonna do what. You just step off the trail and let them go by. So that's it for the Leave No Trace. There's 7 of them, again. So we have plan ahead and prepare, travel only on durable surfaces, dispose of your waste properly, leave what you find, minimize your campfire impact, respect wildlife, and last, be courteous. So if you've made it this far, I thank you. I know this wasn't an exciting video, with new gear or a gear review or, a hiking trail or whatnot. But I just feel that these 7 things are very important to our future ecosystem, and it is 7 principles that do exist and that we should be following. But in saying that, if there's any video ideas that you would like to see, drop them in the comments below and I will check them out. I do have quite a few ideas that I want to do, but I'd like to hear from you and see what you are interested in knowing about. Maybe it's something about the AT, maybe it's more about my gear, maybe it's more about myself and questions you have for me. So if you want to put them in the comments below, that would be great, and I will check them out. So again, thank you for watching. Bye.